Hello people, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be quick fire matchmaking every single fighter on the UFC 296 card. Even the ones that I don't want to see fight again, I've given them fights. So let's waste no time, let's keep to the quick fire and get straight into it. Let's start with the main event. It's pretty obvious, it's going to be Leon Edwards against Belal Muhammad. Now, am I a big fan of Belal? No, I say it in pretty much every single video, but the man has earned a title shot. Leon wouldn't have got a lot of steam off of what was a fairly dull fight, so I just think you put them in a cage, maybe May, June, and get it on, man. And for Colby Covington, I had to think a bit harder about this. He's not going anywhere near Shavkat Rakhmonov. I thought maybe Dustin Poirier. I mean, he called him out after he beat Masvidal. I think that Dustin will look at the Colby that fought Leon and think, I could have that geezer, so I think they should fight. In a pay-per-view co-main event, obviously over 5 rounds. It's one of those, it could headline a card on its own with a good undercard, but I'd have it under a title fight. For 5 rounds, I would do Colby against Poirier. Alejandro Pantoja is fairly straightforward. It will be the winner of Albazi against Brandon Moreno in February. Now, as much as it would be nice if Albazi won, it's a fresh guy at the top. I do think Brandon will win, so I think we'll probably end up seeing Alejandro Pantoja against Brandon Moreno 3, personally. And Brandon Royval, who I was expecting a lot more from, I'm not going to lie, I don't think he should take that much of a hit in the rankings. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight against the based one himself, Mr. Manel Kape, one of my favourite flyweights. I don't think Haikara Francis is going to go near him, so I think you just do Royval Kape. I wouldn't mind that as a main event, to be honest. I think it makes a lot of sense. Shavkat Rakhmonov is probably the easiest one on this whole list. I don't think, like I said, there's no way Colby's going near him. You've already got Burns against Jack de la Maddalena. I think he just waits out and fights the winner of Leon and Belal Muhammad. Fairly straightforward. Wonderboy's a bit more interesting. I was floating around the idea of Nate Diaz, but I thought that would be a little bit unrealistic. So I think you either give him Luque in a rematch, or you give him Michael Venom Page if he beats Holland. Now, do I think that MVP beats Holland? I don't know. But if he does, that's definitely a 5-round main event in front of any crowd anywhere in the world. UK, America, anywhere. And of course he's already fought Luque, but if you look at the rankings and where they are, it's a fun fight. I think you need to give Wonderboy strikers. I think either of those two matchups would be good for Steve at this point in his career. On to Paddy Pimblett. I'm going to give him Drakkar Klose. I've heard a lot of people talk about maybe like a Bobby Green or maybe a Matt Frivola right at the bottom of the rankings. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, but I think when you look at Drakkar Klose, it's a step up from Tony Ferguson, definitely. And I think they are they're both in a spot where if they get one more win, they're looking at kind of a lower ranked opponent. And I believe when there are two people in the same spot, they should fight each other. I think that Drakkar is a big test as well for Pimblett. That's what I would do, personally. And as for Tony, like I said, I really don't want to matchmake some people in this video, but I set out to matchmake everybody, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give Tony Ferguson Clay Guida and just say, fight on the prelims of UFC 300, and then you both have to go. That's what I would do. It's the only thing I'd do with Tony. Only thing. Opening up the main card, we had a cracking knockout from Josh Emmett, and I think you just have to rebook the fight with him and Shikadze, if you ask me, because I think when you look at Josh Emmett, he's obviously lost quite badly twice this year already. Yes, he's just completely iced Bryce Mitchell, which is a good win, but I think number 6 Emmett, number 8 Shikadze, it still kind of makes a lot of sense. It could be a fight night main event, it could be on another pay-per-view card, maybe on the main card this time rather than feature prelim, which is what it's supposed to be. I think it makes a lot of sense, just rebook it. And Bryce Mitchell needs about a year off. He did not look good for the whole time he was in the cage after the knockout. I'm talking even 5 minutes afterwards. He did not look good. And I think when he gets back, he'll still be ranked, but I'm going to give him Joe Anderson Brito. I was really, really impressed with him against Jonathan Pierce, the way he turned that around. In a recent video, I matched him up with Caceres. I think he beats Alex, and then when Bryce is ready, he'll be number 11, I think. And I think Brito will be number 14, 15. Match them up. You could do that as a fight night co-main event feature bout, something like that, and the winner can look back into the top 10. That's what I would do. I was surprised with the feature prelim. I definitely thought that Alonso was going to lose that fight. However, he won it over 3 rounds, and I'm going to give him Ryan Spann. I think at 205, there's a cluster of maybe 4 fighters who are now just going to be used as gatekeepers. Your Anthony Smiths, your Volkan Ozdemirs, your Ryan Spanns, and your Dominic Reyes. I would give Menifield Spann as like a fight night co-main event maybe, or the prelims of a good pay-per-view, maybe if it's a really weak pay-per-view, main card, something like that. But against Ryan Spann is the main point. And Jacoby, like I said, I thought he'd beat Alonso. He didn't. I'm going to give him Vitor Petrino. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Vitor is not exactly a young guy. I think he's in his 30s now, but still a prospect in his own way. I think that Jacoby and him will strike. And if anybody is actually going to mix in the grappling, I think it could be Dustin. I think you could do that on any fight night card anywhere. Maybe in the return to Brazil, he'd stick it on there with Jacoby against Vitor Petrino. Irene Aldana against Rosa was a superb fight. I was surprised by actually how impressive of a fight it was. I'm going to give Irene Aldana Valentina Shevchenko. Now, hear me out here, okay? How am I going to explain this? I think Valentina is either going to retire or move up to bantamweight. If she goes up, Aldana is perfect as a first opponent. If she can beat Aldana, she'll get a title shot, without question. I think it'll be a good, mainly striking matchup, potentially a little bit of grappling from Valentina. That's what I would do. I think it's a fun one. I think it would be a test, actually, for Valentina, because Aldana has fought a featherweight. She's a big girl, but I'd like to see what happens in that one. And Rosa, as much as she lost, it was a close fight. I thought that she'd be 30-27, but it was a much more entertaining and a much closer fight than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to give her Kianzad. Because you think about Pani Kianzad, she had a lot of time off, and then Rosa looked good. I don't think either of them should lose that much stock. It's number 7 against number 9, both off losses. The winner can look at the top 5, the loser can be used as like a prospect filter. I think that makes sense, right? Cody Garbrandt, incredible knockout over Brian Kelleher. I think the only thing you can do, I've mentioned this in a previous card builder, is him against Cruz. I know Cruz is ranked, but you could take him out of the rankings. That fight is more about legacy and like storyline, if you get what I'm saying. It's perfect as a UFC 300 prelim. It just is. And as for Brian Kelleher, he's another one that I think if I hadn't said I'm going to matchmake every fighter, I wouldn't give him a fight. I think he should leave the UFC. I think he's fairly pointless at this point. But on second thoughts, I was kind of racking me brain, and I don't mind seeing him fight Peyton Talbot. New kid on the block. I mean, I would. Even then, it's not exactly a particularly confident matchmaking choice there from myself. But if I had to give him anybody, I think he'd be a decent kind of next step for Peyton. That's basically all I can think of for him. Casey O'Neill lost again. She did not look great. She was relatively dominated by Ariane Lipski. I think you just give her a fun little matchup against Joanne Wood. They were both born in the same country. They were both born in the shithole that we like to call Scotland. I say you put them on a UK card against each other. Maybe a Glasgow card if they do it. I don't know. But I think it's just fun. Makes sense, right? As for Lipski, I thought she was really, really good. Very impressive. The problem with flyweight at the moment is a lot of the top kind of 8 or 9 are matched up with each other. So I'm just going to give her Amanda Hebas, who's kind of been flitting in between flyweight and strawweight. She's coming off a good win. I think it would be a decent fight. They're both very good on the ground. I think Hebas is better on the feet. Who would win? I'm not sure, but it's probably the best thing I can give her right now. Next up, Ulanbekov, back to the flyweight. I thought that Durden would win that fight. He obviously didn't. But in terms of Ulanbekov, I'm going to give him the loser of Alex against Mo Makayev in Saudi Arabia. I think it makes sense ranking-wise. As for Durden, again, I thought he was going to beat Ulanbekov. He didn't. I'm going to give him Nascimento. He's on a 2-fight win streak. He's right on the verge of those rankings. I think it makes so much sense, right? Andre Feely, I'm going to give him Jonathan Pierce. I think that makes sense ranking-wise. I think they're about at the same level with, obviously, the recent loss of Pierce and the really good win of Andre Feely. I think you could have that. Prelims of any pay-per-view, early prelim headliner, main card of like an Apex fight night, somewhere around there on a card I think makes sense for a fight like that. Lucas Almeida, I'm going to give him Morgan Charrier, who is massive in France. I think he's some kind of rapper or singer, or he's friends with rappers. I don't know, I'm not French, but he's a relatively big name over there. I think Almeida is a good next step in his career, so that's what I would do. Shamil Gaziev looks like he could be a problem, but he's nearing his mid to late 30s, so you need to get him up the division quickly. I say just give him Alexander Romanov. Try and get him in the rankings as soon as possible. Maybe then throw him in with like a Derek Lewis. Why not? He's not got time on his side. He's obviously a dangerous, powerful guy, so throw him up the rankings. Why not? Martin Budai, I'm going to give him Mick Parkin. UK guy. I want him to get as close up to those rankings as quick as he can. He's a training partner of Tom Aspinall, so next time Tom fights, have this on the early prelims of that pay-per-view. Why not? Whew. And there you have it, boys. That was 22 fights made in about 9 minutes. That's quick fire for you. You see, I promise something and I deliver. Call me a postman. If you enjoyed this kind of video, do let me know. I will make more after every pay-per-view if this does well. There's a promise for you. I'll catch you in the next video. Love, peace and bacon grease. No more fucking UFC for the year. I'm going to go and, I don't know, actually talk to my family, which is a bit daunting. But anyway, yeah. Peace. Catch you later. Goodbye. I'm rambling again and fuck's sake. Just fuck off with you.